It begins with a depiction of the astral lab of destiny, also known as the Wheel of Destiny, in the Kingdom of Heaven. This will determine the fate of all living entities in the heavens and on earth. The plot revolves around Huaji, a goddess from the Sky Kingdom. She devises a scheme to improve a layer of the sky by inserting fragments of a massive monster's body. The enormous monster, on the other hand, refuses to accept its fate, and everyone who opposes the Kingdom of Heaven is labeled a demon. As a result, Huaji smashes the giant, resulting in its body pieces falling to earth and transforming into a mountain. The monster's bodily bits also morph into stealthy apes. Huaji plans to demolish the mountain after the Wheel of Destiny locates it one day. The ape demons are enraged by this act of destruction and vow vengeance on the sky. After 300 years, the gods establish the Celestial Academy to choose deserving individuals to become immortal beings. Goddess Otzi, Huaji's daughter, is one of the applicants who appear uninterested and uncaring about the selection process. As the Sky Academy ceremony is about to begin, Ozzy notices an ape-like demon known as Sun Wukong. Wukong, intrigued, slips inside the Celestial Kingdom and steals peaches and other delights. Ozzy grows suspicious of his movements and discreetly follows him. Meanwhile, Juling, a Celestial Kingdom high-ranking military officer, attends a banquet with other officials. Juling's arrogant and troublemaking behavior, despite his position, does not reflect his official rank. Juling notices a servant carrying his favorite guava fruit during the ceremony and insists that the servant be brought to him. Juling resorts to violently grabbing the servant and intending to teach him a lesson by striking him with a stick when he refuses. Just before Juling is ready to attack the servant, a participant in the Celestial Academy named Wan Lian jumps in to protect him by catching Juling's stick. When Ju and Leon observe the occurrence, they take action to protect the servant from further harm. Juling is enraged at Wan Lan's interference and assaults him instantly. In reaction, Ozzy kicks Juling in the back, forcing him to stumble and fall. Juling, humiliated, is about to attack Ozzy when a Stone Cave Academy participant intervenes to stop him. Despite his best efforts, the young man is eventually thrown against the wall. Wukong surprises Juling with his characteristic monkey moves in the midst of the commotion. Juling orders his soldiers to seize Wukong in vengeance, but Wukong proves to be a tough opponent, quickly eliminating the soldiers. Wukong brags about his authority as usual, only to be chastised by Ozzy for stealing the peaches. She yanks on Wukong's hair, chastising him for his actions. Following the uproar, Peng, Goddess Huaji's right-hand man, arrives on the scene to put an end to Wukong. Peng, known for his godlike abilities, was not to be overlooked. Wukong, being a strong demon, put up a valiant fight. Wukong attempted to strike Peng with his enormous stick in a reckless moment, but Ozzy intervenes just in time to avert further bloodshed. Wukong is taken aback as he watches Ozzy use her index finger to stop the huge stick. He subsequently stated that Erlang Shen, Ozzy's faithful bodyguard, had gone to her help. Wukong becomes worried as he realizes the level of Erlang's fighting prowess, with just one punch sending him bouncing. Despite his tremendous will and tenacity, Sun Wukong was eventually apprehended and imprisoned. Meanwhile, Goddess Huaji was trying to figure out who was to blame for the mayhem that had occurred during the previous ceremonial festivities. While she felt sorry about Erlang Shen's involvement in the struggle against Wukong, she was also hesitant to punish her own daughter Ozzy. Ozzy, on the other hand, felt bad for her role in the affair and urged that both she and Wukong be punished. Goddess Huaji was moved by Ozzy's desire to accept responsibility but was at a loss for words. In an act of kindness, Ozzy gave her mother a talisman as a present. Peng, Huaji's right-hand guy, was reminded of his girlfriend Goddess Yue when he saw the talisman. She had given him a magical stone with the ability to light up in the past. Peng was captivated by the talisman and the memories it evoked. Meanwhile, Erlang was imprisoned beside Wukong. Despite being imprisoned, Erlang did not object to his penalty because he had realized his error in meddling with the conflict. Soon after, Goddess Huaji arrived to free Erlang, which irritated Wukong because he believed he was being treated unfairly. His mood altered as the deity bestowed upon him a golden crown. Wukong had no idea the crown was a tool for control, and every time the goddess cast a spell, he would experience tremendous anguish. Ozzy felt sorry for Wukong after witnessing his misery and decided to take matters into her own hands. She offered to punish Wukong in order for her mother to leave. As a punishment for the monkey demon, the goddess gave her daughter a golden scepter. Wukong gradually recovered consciousness and remembered a vivid dream from his childhood in which an old man protected him when he was still an ape. This elderly man changed him into a human and sealed his power, implying that the strength Wukong had been using up to this point was merely a small portion of his actual potential. Meanwhile, Erlang suffered an unusual fate planned by goddess Huaji. She wanted to activate Erlang's third eye power, but in order to do so, he had to forget everything, including his memories of Ozzy. He found himself caught in a whirlwind of fate, battling to gain this unexpected power at the expense of losing everything he knew. As goddess Huaji dealt with the fallout from the previous pandemonium, Ozzy took pity on Wukong and covertly cared for him. She shaved his long hair, much to his chagrin, and then urged him to become her servant in exchange for relief from punishment. Wukong originally hesitated, but eventually consented because Ozzy could control the golden crown that caused him anguish. He was irritated at being treated like a pet and ambushed Ozzy, but they only stared at each other, leaving Ozzy uncomfortable. Wukong glanced out at the celestial kingdom from afar after his freedom, remembering his resentment against the Wheel of Fate and goddess Huaji. After learning for hundreds of years under the old man who had saved him when he was still an ape, he felt ready to act. The next day, Wukong and the others went on a tour of the Celestial Kingdom, which was an incredible experience for them. Wukong was awestruck by the magnificence of the palace as the guide discussed the history and significance of various locations within it, but his mind was obsessed with his hatred against Goddess Huaji and the Wheel of Fate. Wukong realized he had stolen the keys to the room and tucked them into Wan Lian's backpack as they entered Fate's wheelchair. Inside, Goddess Huaji revealed how the Wheel of Fate worked and how it resulted in the downfall of Immortal Mountain. Wukong's rage began to boil, and he could feel the beast within him rising to the surface, but Ozzy intervened and spoke out against her mother's decisions. She admitted that she had never loved the Wheel of Fate and that it had caused more ruin than it had created. Wukong was taken aback by Ozzy's bravado, but he couldn't shake his hatred for her because she was the daughter of Goddess Huaji. Goddess Huajit refined his information of the devastation of Immortal Mountain in order to manipulate Wukong, knowing that it would spark the demon stone within him. She then directed Peng, her devoted guard, to eliminate Wukong if he caused any difficulty. Wukong, determined to gain access to the Wheel of Fortune, tricks Wan Lian into entering the kitchen, allowing him to retrieve the key. He successfully sneaks onto the bridge leading to the Wheel of Fate, but before entering the room, he is accosted by Erlang, who is determined to stop him. The two engage in a violent struggle, both determined to win. Erlang overpowers and defeats Wukong despite his best efforts. Peng intervenes and assists Erlang in taking down Wukong in accordance with Goddess Huaji's orders to kill him. Meanwhile, the conflict between Wukong, Erlang, and Peng raged on. Ozzy and Wan Lian tried to intercede and stop the brawl, but Wukong demolished the bridge, causing them all to crash land on Mount Guobuo. Even though Erlang and Peng attempted to kill Wukong and prevent the demon stone from rising again, they discovered that their strength had been depleted on the mountain, forcing them to fight without their magical abilities. Meanwhile, Ozzy and Wan Lian spotted a gathering of peasants approaching the place. Ozzy proceeded to meet with them right away, knowing that the villagers thought anything falling from the sky was a demon and that they considered Ozzy and her colleagues as a threat. After researching the matter, Ozzy informed the villagers that they were not demons, but just ordinary travelers caught up in a struggle. When Ozzy and Wan Lian were attempting to quiet the villagers, they spotted a black cloud approaching with lightning flashing within it. Fearing that the curse that had long afflicted their hamlet might return, the residents raced into their homes and slammed the doors, leaving a young child weeping alone outside. A lovely woman emerged and shielded the infant just as the cloud monster was ready to seize her. To everyone's surprise, the woman was Awa, Peng's sweetheart who had been exiled from the Celestial Kingdom and had been living on Earth ever since. Peng arrived on the scene and joined forces with Awa to fend off the cloud demon while she shielded the infant. They eventually defeated the demon and saved the infant thanks to their united efforts. Peng was drawn into the cave after successfully saving Awa and the small girl from the cloud demon, leaving the rest of the gang outside. Wukong and Erlang, on the other hand, hastily withdrew their hands to prevent the demon from drawing them in as well. Ozzy immediately engaged in the fray, firing an ice arrow from Wan Lian's quiver into the skies, temporarily freezing the demon. Peng regained consciousness the next day and was attended to by Awa. However, he appeared to be unaware of their previous relationship and held her, making Awa uneasy. She admitted to having amnesia and being unable to recall anything since being expelled from the Celestial Kingdom. Wukong and Erlang, meantime, were astonished to wake up bound and quickly realized that Ozzy had tied them up to keep them from fighting. Ozzy stated that she wanted to enlist their assistance in destroying the cloud monster that had caused the area to suffer from severe drought. Wukong and Erlang agreed to participate after some convincing, and Peng also joined the campaign. They devised a scheme to entice the cloud monster by darkening the sky with textiles and trapping it with Wan Lian's freezing weapon. They waited for the perfect opportunity to strike. The residents of Mount Guapo spread a huge cloth on the ground the next day to entice the cloud monster. Wukong leapt into action as soon as the beast appeared. The shooters stood poised, their arrows directed at the demon, ready to use Wan Lian's weapon to freeze it. Peng flung a flaming torch onto the cloth at the same time, producing an artificial sun. The sky darkened as the monster reached the cloth, as the team closed the access to sunlight with cloths, making the atmosphere appear to be darkness. Wukong used the ice cannon to freeze the demon in place when it fell for the trap. The devil attempted to break free, but it was useless because it was stuck. The heavens suddenly opened up, and heavy rain poured down on Mount Guabuo. The inhabitants rejoiced as the rain refreshed their parched crops and filled their once dry wells. Everyone was grateful to the gods for their assistance. Peng was still a little unhappy that Awa had forgotten about him. He couldn't deny that he still cared about her. He chose a blazing stone necklace as a token of his love for her. The people were relieved that the cloud monster had been defeated, and they were enjoying their newfound access to water. However, their idyllic night was abruptly disrupted by the apparition of snow, followed by the arrival of a celestial warrior. Wan Lian recognized the threat and attempted to negotiate with the soldier in the hopes of avoiding a violent conflict. Unfortunately, the warrior refused to listen and assaulted Wan Lian with considerable vigor. The falling snow turned into jagged prickly ice, which Wan Lian utilized as a weapon. As the celestial soldier rained down pointed snow on them, Wan Lian desperately begged the citizens to flee. Despite his appeals, the occupants fiercely defended their home, but the soldiers' attacks were too much for them. Wukong, Ozzy, and Erlang arrived quickly to assist in the struggle, but it was too late. Citizens, including Awa, were found dead on the ground. Wukong charged towards the soldier, fueled by rage and grief, and engaged in a furious struggle with him. Meanwhile, Ozzy attempted to assist Wukong but was apprehended and imprisoned by the soldiers' buddies inside a nearby building. Goddess Huaji descended from the skies to inspect the situation while Wukong was dying and was shocked by what she saw. She noticed Ozzy standing near to Wukong and was disappointed that Ozzy would join forces with a monkey demon. She quickly ordered the soldiers to retreat and proceeded to demolish the entire village, including all of its inhabitants. Following the events on Earth, the Sky Kingdom was in disarray. Goddess Huaji was punishing Ozzy for her acts in assisting Wukong and violating her mother's orders. Erlang, who had always been loyal to Huaji, paid Ozzy a visit and appeared unharmed. He told her that Wukong was likewise imprisoned, but that he had chosen to suffer rather than die. Ozzy was stunned by the news and asked Erlang to allow her to see Wukong. Erlang paused before agreeing, reminding Ozzy to keep her actual feelings hidden. He begged her to pretend to despise Wukong in order to alleviate the monkey's pain and allow him to die peacefully. Ozzy made her way to Wukong's cage, devastated yet determined to follow Erlang's advice. She put on an act of rage and bitterness, hoping that Wukong would not notice. She approached him and observed Wukong in excruciating anguish, his body twisting and contorting. She fought to maintain her facade but delivered her lines convincingly. Wukong closed his eyes and prepared to die, believing that Ozzy actually despised him. His corpse slowly turned to ash. Even though Wukong was gone, Ozzy was determined to carry on Wukong's quest of shattering the Wheel of Fate. In the meantime, Goddess Huaji was assisting Erlang in awakening his third eye and ridding himself of earthly pleasures. As she stood guard over Erlang, the old man who used to assist Wukong reappeared and resurrected him, pushing him to finish his vengeance mission against Goddess Huaji. Wukong returned to Guapo Mountain to collect his enormous stick and fully embraced his power by transforming into an ape demon. He went out to eliminate Huaji's warriors as well as the Wheel of Fate. Wukong also released the cloud demons to assist him in ascending to the Sky Kingdom. Wukong Wukong and his army attacked and defeated the celestial forces as soon as they arrived in the Sky Realm. Despite Wan Leon's terror, Wukong returned to present himself, revealing his actual identity as an ape demon. The masked warriors tried to stop him, but they were no match for Wukong's newfound strength, and he effortlessly defeated them with a single strike of his staff. Wukong couldn't help but think of the peasants who had died as a result of the celestial forces' deeds as he fought. This strengthened his rage and determination to bring Goddess Huaji down and stop her reign of terror. Meanwhile, the fight in the skies raged on. Goddess Huaji looked pleased as Erlang's third eye opened. Her daughter, Ozzy, however, accused her of exploiting Erlang to acquire power. Ozzy chose to oppose her mother and side with Wukong and the others. Peng, who had been resurrected by the elderly man who had once helped Wukong, arrived in the Celestial Kingdom to assist Wukong and revenge Awa's death. The action changes to Goddess Huaji's stronghold, where Ozzy is imprisoned and strangled for attempting to destroy the Wheel of Fate. Goddess Huaji, who has lost all mercy, viciously beats Ozzy until she is nearly dead. Just when it appears that all hope is lost, Wukong appears and uses his strength to free Ozzy from her captor's hands. Peng, meantime, returns to the Celestial Kingdom, determined to assist Wukong in avenging Awa's death. While Ozzy is unconscious in Wukong's arms, the two have joined forces to combat the remaining Celestial warriors. Despite their brave efforts, they are overpowered by Goddess Huaji's army's sheer size and strength. Peng fights Goddess Huaji fiercely in a one-on-one battle, aiming to revenge his slain colleague. He is, however, no match for the goddess's strength and is killed for the second time. He engaged in a furious battle with Goddess Huaji after seeing Wukong break her shield, but was unexpectedly attacked by Erlang from another direction. Despite Goddess Huaji's warning that Erlang had become immortal and unbreakable, Wukong refused to surrender and continued to fight. Erlang's strength, on the other hand, proved to be too great for him to bear. Goddess Huaji descended after the combat to congratulate Erlang on slaying Wukong. Wukong was still alive, much to her amazement, and Erlang, unable to forget Ozzy, resolved to defy orders and never longer serve anyone. This enraged Goddess Huaji, who transformed into a demon as a result. Despite Goddess Huaji's overwhelming might, Wukong and Erlang stood united to confront her. Despite Huaji's transformation into a formidable demon, Wukong remained unafraid, buoyed by his friends' encouragement. They attacked Huaji with their united strength, intending to break the Wheel of Fate once and for all. The battle lasted a long time and was terrible, with each side releasing their most potent attacks. Wukong and Erlang, on the other hand, refused to give up hope, fueling them. They eventually defeated Huaji, destroying the Wheel of Fate in the process. Wukong and Erlang parted ways after the fight, but not before Erlang warned Wukong that he would still be sought one day.